With that, we can then put voice onto Vox's network, which is a first-tier carrier of voice, and takes you not only around the country, but around the world as well. And the enabler that makes this occur is what we call the ADSL phone. So let's have a look at this and explain how it all works. The Vox ADSL phone is a wireless router. And by wireless router, you still have to plug your ADSL line into it, but thereafter, you can connect either your notebooks or other PCs into the device. And not only that, it also comes with a DECT handset. All DECT stands for is a digitally enhanced cordless telephone. With the ADSL phone, you also get your own unique 087 number, which is exclusive to the Vox network. And how much does this cost? A once-off registration fee of 300 Rand, and thereafter 49 Rand per month. This includes your voicemail, your itemized billing, your call forwarding, your caller line identification, and all of the other features that you normally associate with modern-day telephony. But for this to make sense to the customer, it's got to be mutually beneficial. The phone itself costs us 2,000 Rand to land in the country. If we had to add a bit of markup on it and VAT, it would be close to 3,000 Rand, and the barrier to entry would be far too high. So I'm sure you can understand, for a once-off fee of 300 Rand, you're getting quite a beast of a machine. The 49 Rand per month covers the 087 number that we rent from a CASA, and that costs us 20 Rand per month. The license fee for your itemized billing, caller line identification, voicemail, and all the other wonderful features costs us 15 Rand. And rather than allowing you bits and bobs, we're making sure everybody has all of the features. Over and above that, because the phone is actually rented to you, we insure the unit for 7 Rand, coming to a grand total of 42 Rand. With that, that's the 49 Rand. The reason why I'm explaining this to you is so that you can understand the only way that this can make sense to both you, the customer, and to Vox Telecom is if you can save that 49 Rand. That's an additional expense that you would be having, and as such, you need to be able to save that to make it viable for you. Similarly, from our point of view, the phone is costing us a lot of money. We're not making any money out of that 49 Rand. So what we need you to do is obviously to have usage. And the more usage you have, obviously the greater savings that you're going to make, and that's going to make it equally viable for us to be able to offer this service. So once again, it's a nice situation here where it's not as if we're trying to sell you a sledgehammer, whether you use it or you don't. We are generally interested, if you've got our product, we're wanting you to use it. We want to make sure that you've got great quality calls and that you're making some fantastic savings. Just to give you an example of some of the savings that you can make, and please understand, everybody's phone bill is different, and you'd actually have to put in the genuine numbers concerning your actual phone bill to be able to see whether this is viable or not. I've just put a rough example up onto the screen. If we take a 500 Rand usage bill, and we use the ratios that I mentioned earlier, the 29% for local calls, 48% for cellular calls, etc. So in other words, if you were an average South African consumer, on a 500 Rand bill, what you'd be currently spending is obviously 500 Rand, but with the savings that you're going to be making on the Vox outbound calls, you'd be down to about 400 Rand. And already that's quite a substantial saving of about 20%. But if we then factor in how many of the calls you think that you are going to be making on a monthly basis to another Vox number, and I understand that this could be 5% in the early days, 10% a little bit later on, 20 to 30% as things go forward, as your number gets more and more out into the marketplace, some serious savings can be made with that. In this particular example, we've quoted an example of 20% of your normal traffic will be going to another Vox number. Once again, that brings down the total figure to 320 Rand from the 500 Rand. Over and above this, if we factor back in the rebates that you're going to be receiving on the calls that you make, and here all I've done is just assumed that you'd be getting 5 minutes a day from a landline and 5 minutes a day from a cellular call, once again, the savings amount up to an additional 60 Rand in rebates. Please understand, the more of those calls that you're getting in, the higher those rebates are going to be, and I think we've been very conservative in this estimation. So if we have a look at that scenario, from an original bill of 500 Rand, understand you've now got 49 Rand that you've got to pay that you wouldn't have been paying, and we have a look at the net result, your total bill is now down to 260 Rand for an effective saving of just under 240. And that is serious money that you're starting to put back into your pocket and back into the economy. So which customers qualify for Vox? As I mentioned earlier, the first requirement you need to be able to take advantage of the Vox ADSL phone is obviously you need an ADSL line. Currently there's over 500,000 ADSL users in South Africa. So there's quite a potential market sitting there waiting already. Over and above that, to make this really a viable offer for you, you need to have a usage spend of at least 200 Rand. The reason why we say that is, on average, and please understand, no one's an average, so we'd like you to actually go and do the maths properly. But on average, we should be saving you a minimum of 30% if we have a look at your outbound usage, your free Vox-to-Vox calls, and your rebates coming back in. If we assume that on a 200 Rand usage bill, a 30% saving is going to give you 60 Rand per month. The fact that you're going to be paying an additional 49 Rand for the Vox unit will still put you in a positive position. The more your usage is over that 200 Rand, the more of a no-brainer it becomes for you to get involved with this particular product. The potential customers out in the marketplace, though, are huge. If we consider that there's still over 1 million users on dial-up, and for those of you who don't know what dial-up is, that's where you're still connecting and paying per minute while you're on the telephone line. The irony is that anybody who's on their dial-up for more than 4 hours a month is spending more than they probably would if they were on ADSL. And that's almost like saying, well, you're happy with your Volkswagen when you could be driving a Ferrari. So we believe those numbers are going to be converting over to ADSL more and more as time goes by. Currently, there's over 3.5 million internet users in South Africa, and with the advent of the new CCOM cable that's going to be laid, allowing us better connectivity to the rest of the world, we believe the prices of ADSL are going to come down even more substantially. So the market is pretty huge for what we're offering. All I've spoken about so far in the presentation has been the Vox ADSL phone, and undoubtedly this is our flagship product and something that we're very, very proud of. But we have a number of different products offerings that we're able to take out into the consumer market. We've got Vox Mahala, via fax, mobile trip sheets, 3G, our websites, the ADSL usage itself, obviously control chat, the phone which I've mentioned, and also the PBX. I'd just like to touch on a couple of these in the intro. We will be going into more specifics with them in the product section of our training. But just to give you an idea of some of the unique differences that Vox brings to the marketplace, let's start off with Vox Via. Vox Via is an initiative that we've put together to try and help people who are wanting to dial internationally but wanting to do so from their cell phones. Traditionally in this game, you either have got to put in a 3,000 Rand deposit with one of the networks and unbar your phone for international calls, or else you're pretty much stumped. What we are now able to do within the Vox environment is allow people with their cellular phones to dial into an 087 number, which is our Vox numbers. As I mentioned earlier, how much will it cost you to dial into one of those numbers? The same as it would for any normal call. Earlier as well, we mentioned the fact that we're getting a rebate of R1.25 back from the networks, the interconnect agreements. So what happens now, you simply dial an 087 number, 805 9000, wait for the voice prompts, and enter the international number that you wish to dial, 00903, whatever it might be. We will then connect you to any country in the world where we can deliver that call for less than R1.25. The net result is that you're now able to dial internationally for the same rate as what you're paying for a normal cellular call. I think to give you a classic example, my wife was recently over in Belgium, and I was phoning in her hotel room using Vox Via, and it was costing me a normal cellular rate as if I was phoning my mate down the street. No additional charges. So a wonderful initiative that Vox has brought into the marketplace. Another product I'd just like to touch on is Cell C Control Chat offering from Vox. Pretty much it's the same offering that you can get from any stock standard Cell C supplier, except we put a little bit of a twist with it. Normally, as suppliers of the products, we get what's called a customer installation bonus. And these amounts vary depending on the package that you buy. Traditionally, these bonuses are used and put back into offering the customer a phone, so depending on the value of the package, the value of the phone will fluctuate as well. What we have done is taken the value of that CIB, put it back into the contract period, and allowed you, the customer, to get the benefit of that. So for argument's sake, if you've got a Control Chat 50, it obviously normally costs you 50 Rand. You get your 50 Rand's worth of airtime, your 25 SMSs, but it costs you 50 Rand a month on a 2-year contract. With us, you're getting all of the same features and advantages, except it's going to cost you only 25 Rand per month. Similarly, on your